How to build a profitable business coaching practice as a person of faith. That's our conversation today on the podcast. Let's jump in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. Glad that you are here on the podcast. A little bit of a deeper conversation today. We'll certainly talk about strategies. That's important. You need to be strategic in building a profitable business coaching practice, regardless of your background and experience. Quickly, before we jump into the discussion, perhaps maybe you're on our email list. Maybe you are watching on YouTube, or you listen to the podcast on Apple or Spotify or your favorite platform, and you're just curious, how does this whole thing work? Maybe you're a business owner or a previous business owner. Maybe you have former military experience, leadership experience, an executive, sales manager, but you're a Christian professional. In other words, you're a professional in business, you're a believer, you're a Christ follower, and you would love to take your experience and what you know, how you've led teams and people, and you would love to be able to package that together and to motivate, help encourage, educate, strategize, help grow businesses, whether it's locally there in your area or anywhere across the world. But you don't want to create the tools, resources, all that good stuff. What I'd like to invite you to check out our information about our Done For You business coaching system, where you don't have to create tools, resources, and content. We've got it all created for you. You can go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com, or there might be a link in an email there that you may have received. And just take a peek at the info. And if you're interested in booking what we call a quick Explore the System chat, we'll certainly have a conversation with you and let you know how everything works together. I am asked all the time, is this a franchise? No, not a franchise. It's franchise-like, but it's not a franchise. You are your own coach. We're there to support you, give you all the resources and tools, train you, guide you, help strategize with you, and so on. That'll make sense once you book a chat. Faith is not natural. Think about that. Faith is not natural. It's actually transformational. Now, the conversation today, getting into the weeds, and forgive me if I sound to be a little all over the place, because this is not just a typical key 1, key 2, key 3 kind of thing. It's really about a message for you, but more importantly, probably for me, just in my experience, my journey as a person of faith, and where does this whole, marketplace ministry, where does the convergence between our faith and our work that we do in working with business to help them grow, to help them succeed, profitability, their mission, vision, values, their leadership, their culture, all that. Like, you put it all together, how does it work? And I'm just going to share with you my perspective. I'm not going to suggest that I know everything at all. And you may have a difference of thought or opinion, or maybe even an additional, which is awesome, additional thought. But as I was just been praying about some things for my own stuff, I thought, you know what? Perhaps I could add value to you and give you some things to consider as well as you're up on your journey. So when I say faith is not natural, and it's like, how do you build this whole business thing as a person of faith? Like, because, if you're going to be a Christ follower and a disciple, if you will, you don't just put down your spiritual life when you're in business. As I think that would kind of self-destruct, to be truthful. But if I'm being honest, there are times where I look around, and I'm paraphrasing that for my own term. You look around and like, wait a minute, this is kind of all about me right now. And when I say the word faith is not natural, it's not. You were born into a world of sin. And what is natural is doubt. What is natural is fret. What is natural is worry, because those are just, they come natural to us. When we lead with faith, it can feel unnatural, but that's the whole part about relying upon God ordering your steps, specifically where you are, what that's going to look like, who you're going to engage with, and so on. And I say this because a few things I'm going to share with you all has to do with, I'm a big believer in goal setting. I'm a big believer in KPIs. We have to have those things. But more importantly, I believe we have to have God guiding those things, because he may have something in store for you that you don't even know about or understand or even um realize, but you can't get out of your own way. I know that's been true for me. So just a few things to kind of let you wrestle with, let you pray about for your own life, your own journey. Perhaps you're on our business coaching team, you're in our business coaching network, which, we talk about these things from time to time in multiple ways. But I do believe that you just can't put down I'm going to put my spiritual, life down over here. I'm going to pick up my business coaching practice over here. And when I'm done working with my business, I'm going to pick my spiritual life back over here. Doesn't work that way. We utilize, as we should, the Bible should be a roadmap, right? That is the GPS. I know you've heard that term before, analogy, but it's true. It really is. And that's the reason why everything that we do and come in contact with when growing your business coaching practice should be led by the Word. Number one, let's just, for context, let's say that, this is being produced towards the end of 2025. We're looking at 2026, obviously, from what's life going to look like. Let's say that you've owned that business, you've been a leader, you've helped others lead businesses, and so on. And it's your turn in 2026. And we're making that shift of taking our experience, and now we're going to wrap it up in a big bow, and we're going to start to strategically work with business owners to help them grow profitability, their leadership, and their culture. Well, if we're not careful and if we're not paying attention, we can lead from a career, in a vocational perspective, and not from the heart, calling, or purpose. Now, we have to have a career. We have to have a resource. We have to have finances to pay the bills, pay our house, have transportation, food, all that kind of good stuff. Saving for the future, whatever that looks like for you. But I think that if we don't, number one, put ourselves in a mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to lead from a place of calling, not agnostic of career and just, vocational. This is what I do from a professional perspective. Because when we do it from a place of calling, we open up our minds and our eyes and our heart, number one, to follow what the Lord has for me and how I'm going to make an impact on other people beyond money, beyond business. Have had numerous accounts of opportunities to minister to business owners, their teams, or whatever, outside of the scope of typical strategy work. And if I'm really being frank, I probably would have more of those opportunities had I been more open to them. Again, from a mindset, from just a starting point. I'm called and drawn to this. It's not just a career path I'm choosing kind of thing. So that's just one. That's how we show up. We show up from a calling perspective. The worries kind of shift a little bit because the way we process and the way we look at them is not just about how am I going to turn a dollar. It's also how am I going to be led to be a person of impact. That's calling. The second thing is that those that we interact with, both the prospects, the clients, potentially even the team members of the clients that we're working with, excuse me, we need to see them as kingdom assignments, not just opportunities of transaction. These are people. They got lives. They have spouses. They have kids. They're going through, challenges. They're going through amazing opportunities. They've got situations. They're poised with decisions. And when you approach the individual from a kingdom assignment, I now look at this individual in a different flavor, a different perspective than just owning a dry cleaners or a pizzeria or a production company or a cleaning company or whatever. And so as we're working with that business, and perhaps they own that HVAC company. Yes, they own it. They have a team, but when I see them as God's chosen people and they have an opportunity to make an impact with their business, things can change. We're not just dealing in terms of contracts and deadlines. Even those we have to do that; those are important. But the starting point now, start putting this together. I'm looking at this from a standpoint of calling. I'm seeing those that I'm interacting with as a kingdom assignment. In other words, I'm going to make the decision to choose that those that are put in my path, both the prospect and the actual person who pays me, that is that they are put there for a reason. And God's going to use me to make an impact in their life. Because when you start to pray like that and process like that and converse like that, your eyes get opened up to a lot of different things. Versus if you see them just as a client, well, they're just a prospect. I don't need to spend a lot of time with them. They're a client now. They're paying me, so I'm going to spend a lot of time with them. But we're just going to talk about profitability. We're going to talk about the different business strategies to work with and so on. Which again, we got to do those things. But when we cut it off there, we miss. I think, at least, as a person of faith, we just miss some ministry opportunities. When we're just seeing them as that, they have a big network and they can give me access to their network, which is great. We got to, get to know more people and expand our horizons. But if we don't see them as that, I want to get to know them, but I also want to get to know how I can make an impact. Like, God used me. How can I make it a significant impact in their world? The next thing is, and this was a tough one for me because as a goal setter, every single morning, and as I have for years, I restate the current goals that I have right now. I restate the goals that I have this year. I restate the goals that I have for the next 3 years, and I begin to pray about the vision over the next 5 to 10 years. And if I'm not careful, I can make those goals and KPIs and forecast about me. But when we build it with faith, not just forecast, that's the term. You might want to write that down. When we build with faith and not just forecast, we open ourselves up to recognizing, that strategy is really just about my arrogance. That goal is just about, that forecast is just about me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, asking for favor or asking for opportunities or asking for, provision. I think in the right light. But when we boast about it, even if we're just boasting to ourselves, we miss God's hand of guidance of how he can utilize us as a tool and a key in the kingdom with those that you are working with. So we don't want to just forecast without faith. We want to say, hey, this is what I've been praying about. This is what I believe, but God, I'm going to put this at your feet, and this is not the direction. This is not the right goals. These are not the right numbers. If I'm wanting to do this for the wrong reasons, I want you to show those to me. 2 more. We live in a world of, and again, I've gotten caught up in it. The hustle culture. And there's nothing wrong with hustling. My goodness, I didn't go to college. I don't have a collegiate degree to fall back on. Never went at all. I am only used to making it work, getting it done, the whole, University of Hard Knocks. And I'm proud of that. And meaning I'm proud that, I've been able to work as hard as I have to get where I've gotten. Not that that's anything to boast about or even to, ring a bell about, but I have had opportunities, but I've worked extremely hard to get there. And that there's times I got it right. There's times that I got it wrong, probably more times of wrong than right. No question, though, I've gotten caught up at times into the hustle culture, the grind, which I no longer necessarily agree with on its front face. Versus, we need to model a kingdom culture inside of a world of hustle culture. What does kingdom culture look like? Well, I mean, look at the Beatitudes by themselves. Like, to me, that's modeling kingdom culture inside the marketplace ministry. And it doesn't mean that we're setting ourselves up to be walked on. Although I would argue that selflessness has a opportunity to where we're not going to get the majority of the goods. And that's, really simple for me to say that when, we have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, we're on, different platforms and whatnot. So it's really, really simple to fall in the crack of this whole concept of hustle, grind, hustle, grind, hustle, grind. And I'm an early bird, early morning person, and I like to get going. That's just the way I'm built. I'm not a nighttime person. My wife makes fun of me for wanting to go to bed early, but that's just the way that I'm built. I've never been a night owl, never was a night owl, ever in my life. I'm just built for the mornings. But sometimes that get up and go get it done, sometimes I have that rise of anxiety. And when that rise of anxiety takes over, then I'm kind of, pulling the blind down, if you will, on the kingdom culture part of that. And so when you look at just those few things, there's clearly we could go on and on and on. Just about, again, we're looking at this term, this marketplace ministry. How do I, as a believer, how do I, build or how do I take the gifts and experiences that God has given me and turn them into something amazing as a Christ follower, a strategist, a business coach, helping others grow. How do I put all this stuff together? And just these few things today kind of stood out for me. Maybe tomorrow there's more. I don't know. But we've got to lead from calling, not just a career. We need to see clients and prospects as kingdom assignments, not transactions. We need to build faith, not just forecasts. And we need to model kingdom culture in a world of hustle culture. And lastly, this is just where we've got these goals, these ideas, these dreams, and we're using, we want to make an impact, and yet we can make a good living, a solid, it's very, very normal for the vast majority of average coaches to earn well into six figures, which is great. You can give back, you can do some cool things. But at the end of the day, though, it's like, God, this is what the way I see it, but I need correction if I'm not on the right path. God, give me wisdom. This is currently the way that I'm going to do this right here. But if there's something more, I've got it wrong. Put something in my path. Let me see something. Let me know. I just believe that when we continue to ask God those questions for clarity along the journey, I think we get them. Now, I do believe, now, again, you may not see it this way. I do believe there's seasons to where, think about it as a parent, right? There are times I'm going to withhold the answer for the greater opportunity for growth for one of my kids. Or they're not mature enough yet to know the answer or to know the direction. It's like, hey, can we go here, go there, do this, do that? No, we cannot. Why? Now, I have the intention that we are going to do X, Y, Z, but I'm not telling them yet because they get impatient. They're just not prepared. They're not ready. So I think there's seasons in a version of that. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but in a version of that, I think God does that with us as well. But I believe that when we give it to Him, that this is your business, this is your goals. I believe that as through prayer and conversations and whatnot, this is what I think is the right. But guide my steps, order them, show me where I'm wrong, because we're going to be wrong. We're not going to get it right. Let's stop doing what's not working. Continue to do better. I think when you do all that, we put ourselves in a position to then again, we have our spiritual journey where it's in lockstep with one another. We're not just laying it down over here, picking up the business side over here, putting the business down and going back to our spiritual journey. Our spiritual journey, our life as a believer, and our business must align and walk together. I just don't, in my view, I don't think it works disconnected. I don't think there's just too many ways that you can mess up. There's too many ways that you could get it wrong from a kingdom perspective by having them disjointed and not collectively held together. So I don't know if that rambling at all, the last, 19 minutes did anything for you, but that's just what I literally woke up on my heart today for BJ. And then I felt just the urging to go, you need to share exactly how you think, what you're thinking about, how you feel right now, because there's a good chance that someone else feels the same way. So if that's you, I hope that adds value to you. Pray about your journey. Ask God into the middle of it. And it's like anything else. You do it every day. You get percentages better. You get more in lockstep with Him, and you really just. It's kind of like the whole miracle thing, right? Like when we don't. If all we're going to do is that we're going to do exactly the way that we've described it, we're not giving God a chance to do some really cool, amazing things because we're blocking Him out by saying, "I got it all taken care of." And I just believe that when we say, you know what, right now in this season, this is not going well at all. I think there's a chance that we give God the opportunity to do some really cool things. That's when we can give Him some glory. We should always give Him glory, but that's when we give it when things like they happen and it was not at all how you drew it up. That's God, I think, just kind of giving you what I call breadcrumbs of opportunity to go, I got you. Sometimes as scary as it is, I get it. It can feel very, very insecure. But I believe that's if we're feeling the insecure, I don't know that we've really given it up to God yet in totality. Because surrender is a real thing and it's hard. Because we're having to lay ourselves down to truly surrender to go, okay, I've been working on this project with this client, whatever, forever, and I feel like we've done, but it's just not going anywhere. And I think that, that's when we're in our vulnerable moments, we give it over to God to go, I know, you know what? I'm going to trust you. I do not see how this is going to turn out at all. I'm going to trust you have got it. It may not, and it probably won't turn out the way I envisioned at all, which means that you are in control. There you go. Hope that adds value. Hope that makes sense to you. Um, it's a daily effort. And I'll end it how it started. Faith is not natural. You've got to work at it, but it is transformational. Until next time, take care.